This is a lecture that is going to examine Native American culture in the 18th century. In particular, our objectives for this lecture are that we want to describe the importance of clan and kinship to Native American cultures. And then we also want to discuss the gender division of labor for Native peoples and come to some sort of understanding about how that gender division of labor impacted their social and cultural organization. One thing that I want to say before we begin this discussion is that when you talk about Native American peoples, you're talking about an incredibly diverse group of people. They're not homogenous. They're very diverse cultures. There's hundreds of different languages, hundreds of different ethnic groups that we could discuss. What will be described to you in this lecture kind of describes the broad outline for Native American cultures. In particular, I'm going to be zeroing in on the cultures from the modern day Southeast, particularly the Creeks and the Cherokee peoples. Um, and as I say that, though, I want you to realize that there's an incredibly diverse group of people when you refer to Native Americans. The Native Americans that you'll hear the most about today are those that are referred to as the Mississippian cultures, but you also have the Iroquois in the modern day state of New York, the Powhatan or the Algonquin, that's Pocahontas's people, that are from modern day Virginia. But then when you move west of the Mississippi River, you also have groups like the Apache and the Comanche in the modern day Southwest. And all of these different peoples, they speak different languages, they have different cultures, but they do share some broad similarities in their outlines. And so, what I'm going to be describing to you are those broad similarities, and I'm going to do that using the Mississippian cultures as a particular case study in that. So, one thing that I want to make sure you understand is that for most native peoples of the colonial era, the concept of race did not necessarily make sense. So, race was something that for most native peoples did not really have special meaning until you get well into the 19th century. What determined belonging, or what determined status within Native American cultures was kinship. And kinship is just establishing ties of family ties and kinship ties to particular groups of people. So the basic unit of organization within a Native American tribe would have been the clan. And a clan was simply a group of people that claimed descent from a common ancestor. Membership in clan was matrilineal. And this is an important concept to understand. What this means is that in order to have membership in a particular clan, it descended through the mother's line. And so, to give you an example, among the Cherokee people, there were like six or seven different clans that made up the Cherokee people. And they had names like the Corn Clan, um, the Wolf Clan, the Bear Clan. Membership within a particular clan, though, had to be traced through the mother's line. Um, and so another way of saying that is to say that whatever your mother's particular clan connections were your clan connections. So you had to have those ties to kinship. You had to have those ties to a clan by kinship to a particular mother to claim the clan status. This is important because that's what determined your membership within a particular group. So, for example, Cherokee people would not have referred to themselves as Cherokee. That was a word that does not come into existence until later contact with I'm sorry, until later contact with European peoples. They would have referred to themselves as a member of a clan. So if you asked them to identify themselves, they would have said, well, I'm a member of the Bear Clan or I'm a member of the Corn Clan. And by doing that, they're signifying to you their family relationships. In addition to that, the household among Native American peoples was largely matrifocal. And what that means is that the household was organized around the women of a particular clan. In this chart, you are seeing a representation of what a one particular household could have looked like um, among Native American peoples. So you see here, you have the mother or maybe the grandmother, the oldest woman of the particular household, would have been acknowledged as a person of significant importance. Then she would have had her children living with her within this particular household. Her husband would have lived with her too, as well. But the household is arranged around the women of that particular clan. So you have the mother, grandmother as the head, and then her children as well. But this is an important distinction to make. The women of that household are permanent members, and they are people who will always be attached to that particular clan. And I'm sorry, they will always be attached to that particular household. So the daughters will always stay in the household of their mothers because, as I said, the household is matrifocal in nature. So here you have an example of a son right here. So the expectation would be that this son would remain a part of this household until he married. When he marries someone, he is going to leave his mother's household and he's going to go join the clan and the household of his wife. And then he would be a part of that household. Divorce was relatively easy for Native American peoples. If they came to the mutual agreement that their marriage was not working out, then it was relatively easy for what we would call a divorce to take place. And if that were to happen, then the son would leave his wife's household and would come back to his mother's household until he married again. Also within this household, though, you would have had the husbands of the daughters of the household. So if the son gets married, he leaves and joins his wife's new household. But the opposite is true for the daughters. The daughters always remain in the household. The husbands will come from a different clan and from a different household, and they will join the household of uh, their wives, and they will remain there for as long as the marriage endures. So one reason that I put this example right here of a husband, and then these little yellow arrows are indicating a marriage has taken place. Native American people did recognize polygamy as a legitimate form of marriage and a legitimate form of social organization. Typically, though, it was a husband who would have multiple wives, and typically it was a husband who had multiple wives who were sisters. And the reason that this made sense along Native American lines is because the children born to these daughters are always going to be a member of this clan and this household, unless, of course, they're male, which in case they'll join their wife's household at the appropriate time. But let me also mention this, though. The sons, when they marry and leave the household, they always remain part of their mother's clan, though. His clan status doesn't change. He may go live with his wife's clan, but if his mother is a member of the Koren clan, he is for the rest of his life a member of the Koren clan as well, and that doesn't change, even if he marries a woman in a different clan. So just to sort of go back and review this for you, Native American peoples were matrilineal, which means that they traced kinship through the mother's line, and you had to establish clan connections to a Native American woman to be able to establish that clan, your clan affiliations. This is important because your clan status determined a lot It determined your rights and responsibilities. It gave you protection. It ensured that was a group of people who acknowledged you as part of their group, as an insider, if you will. And it gave you rights and protections and benefits. In other words, it determined belonging. So again, I began this discussion by saying that Native Americans did not really recognize the concept of race, that for Europeans, race was a category of belonging, right? Like some Europeans adopted the concept that people of a particular race had rights and benefits within their societies, and those of other races did not. That's a European concept. For Native Americans, it is kinship. That is what determines status and belonging, and particularly kinship to a particular clan. In addition, we have gone through and established the fact that the household was matrifocal. It's organized around the women of the clan. Households are headed by the oldest woman of that particular household, and is organized around her daughters and her male children while they are not married. But then, of course, as I said, the male children will leave the household once they do marry. This has particular implications for Native American understandings of gender and sexuality, because, as you can see, it kind of empowers women in a certain way. It was women giving birth to children that gave kinship status and gave clan status. So imagine for a moment that this daughter that she marries someone from a different race, right? So, for instance, let's just assume that this daughter has married a husband who is English, who is European in his background. The children of that marriage are going to be considered Cherokee, if this is the Cherokee tribe we're talking about, because the mother has those ties to the clan and to the larger tribe. But the opposite is not true. Let's say that this daughter, I'm sorry, let's say that this son right here marries an English woman. The children of that union would not be considered Cherokee. They would not be considered members of that tribe because the woman is English. She's European. She doesn't have those matrilineal ties to the women of that particular clan. And so that means that children born between a Native American man and a white woman would not have the same rights and benefits and belonging that the children of a Native American woman and a white man would have. That's really important. You may want to stop and rewind and listen to this lecture a couple of times to make sure that you understand it, because, as I said, race is not the primary category of social organization. It is kinship, and in particular, kinship connections to a particular clan. So this is going to be part one of the lecture that deals with Native American social organization in the 18th century. I will pick up here with part two, where we will begin to explore the gendered division of labor and how that impacts Native American social organization as well.